Hey now, cats, we're back again this week on the Balls from Ellwood show, and I have to say my next guests really need no introduction, but here goes. I'm here with Sam and Ceschi from the Codefendents, and I have to say, gentlemen, I can't think of one fucking record that I've heard that has deeply moved me this time in a very long time. Since its release, it's been in heavy rotation. It's easily my favorite album of the year, and I'm really, really hoping to deep dive into some of the tracks with you guys. But first, I was hoping, can you guys tell me a little bit about how you guys grew up and got ingrained in the punk scene?
Sam, you want to go for that?
As far as my punk scene was, I didn't actually get embedded into it until my late teens, early 20s. But growing up in the Bay Area as a skateboarder, I listened to all music, all hip hop, all punk rock, Minor Threat, Bad Brains, all the way to thrash metal like Slayer and stuff like that. So it's always been around me just by I've just been down by law just because of skateboarding. So
Yeah, and the Bay Area also. Just like it's just something that was around a lot where we lived as kids. Yeah, I think I've first heard punk when I was probably 9, 10 years old, maybe around then. My cousin was a punk drummer, is a punk drummer. My cousin's on tour with Cro-Mags right now, so
Oh, nice.
so he's 10 years older than me, so he showed me thrash metal and punk and stuff like that, hardcore. And yeah, so I kind of was born into it like that. But I also lived as a kid in Berkeley, California. So that was just a big part of the culture out there. So was hip hop, actually. So,
I actually
mm,
was into hip hop before I even got into the punk scene when I was younger, and
same. I was
I mean,
like
when I
eight
was
years
when
old,
I was in like
seven,
high
8 years
school, I
old.
was all about Public Enemy and KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions, and
Yeah, that's like some of my favorite shit ever, man.
yeah,
That's
man, it's like but I actually that actually kind of and then I kind of I don't know. I went to a very predominantly hillbilly school that didn't appreciate hip hop, and yeah, you can realize how that went. But then I met some people. I got into the punk scene, but I still love all that classic hip hop shit to this day, man. I mean, I think hip hop and punk kind of goes pretty well together, really. I mean,
same. It's the same ethics, the same DIY, the same anti-establishment. It's also a it's like a newspaper for like the underground and people from fucking all walks of life, which is kind of like a blueprint of what's going on during that time. And both of them do that. And you can go back and listen to old 80s punk shit, and they're going to tell you exactly what was going on with like the recession, just the class war and all that shit. And then you go right over to hip hop and see what the fuck they're talking about. Same fucking thing. So it's always, and hip hop is punk rock cut in half BPM wise. You can take most punk rock songs and if you slow it down halfway, you're gonna have a hip hop beat.
hmm.
And the hip hop.
I mean,
So
it's always been a reflective mirror to society, both genres. And one of the things I love so much about this album, in fact, I got it right here. This is Crime Wave, and it never leaves my turntable, man. I love it so much. I have to say, it's a shame because you were talking about growing up and how all these different things reflect from society and a lot of the same shit's going on, only fucking 10 times worse, man. So I mean, people like you are very important because you show that reflective, you show what's going on, and you talk about just how real the shit is, and like people need a wake-up call, and I feel like you guys do just that. So let me ask you though, I was asking you guys earlier about your earlier influences and things that you grew up in. What was that definitive moment that you knew you had to do music for the rest of your life? Was there like a chasing the dragon moment, like something that stands out in your mind where you're like, fuck man, I have to do this now. Like this is my life. This is what I'm gonna do.
Ceschi?
I think for me, it was probably I was probably 13, 14 years old. I moved to New Haven, Connecticut, and I recorded my first demo tape with my brother, and at actually at this dude Mike Z's house, who had an 8 track, and he actually became the guitarist of 100 Demons later on. So it's like all that like hardcore kind of world. But yeah, once like the process of recording was really the moment where I was like, I love recording. It wasn't even playing shows, and I since then I've grown to love performing a lot. But it was definitely the first times I got to record that made me want to keep doing it and keep doing it. It just never got old to me. It still hasn't gotten old to me. So that's why probably around that time.
Is there something that stands out in your mind, Sam, of when you decide that has to, this has got to be my life?
I mean, thinking on it, I think that it might have been back when I was like living in a car with my mom and stuff, and it was just like during those early teenage years where you're just already pissed off at everything. And I think it was the effect that music had on me in that environment that like whatever transported me wherever it was or gave me motivation to like try to better my situation or whatever, I think about then I just realized that like it had like a magical property to it that had more value to me than, working in an office, making somebody else's dream come true. So I think me and Ceschi talk about it a lot about how we're, 40-year-old men that are at like the pinnacle of what happens when you like pursue a teenage dream.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I should also I should give a shout out to Anticon and Soul because
what's up, Joe?
When I first saw Soul, I probably met him. I was 18 years old in Oakland, California, and seeing him running the business the way he did, it showed me that you could really make a living this way. You could really like make shit happen. And then when I went down to LA and started living with of Mexican descent and the Project Blowed cats, it was the same thing. They were hustling every day, just this music shit. They didn't even have to, sell drugs or do any of the other dumb shit that we might have been doing before to make a living. They did it all through music, and that was another key moment where I was like, I could really do this as a living. So yeah.
So that actually leads me to my next question. What's the first album that moved you like emotionally? I mean, is there something that stands out that just kind of changed your life when you first heard it? And is that like where your motivation came from?
I would. I mean, I could easily pinpoint the first time I heard an album that I ended up listening to from when I was 14 until, I probably never gone like a full week without hearing at least one track off it. And that's Low End Theory from Tribe Called Quest.
Oh my God, what a fucking album. Oh,
it just like hit at the right time for me. And that, and I think Minor Threat's album.
nice.
Ooh, those are good. Yeah, like the whole discography of Minor Threat.
It's like picking your kid, but there's top three. And I think another huge one that I overlook a lot is 40 Ounces to Freedom.
Yeah, that was big for me too.
I still can't believe Fife Dog's gone, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
That dog. I'm gonna say a weird one that I don't mention often in interviews because it doesn't sound like a lot of what I do, but Tracy Chapman's first album was a big album.
Oh my God, that was a banger and a half, man. Like
it's like a perfect album. I love like my production choices would be different than those 80 production choices, but I heard that record when I was 5 or 6 years old. And I remember being moved at that age. So you're trying to say some of the first music that moved me like that? Like, yes, Tracy Chapman. I remember her stories of growing up and her, I don't know, whatever it was. Something like touched me about that record.
I connected the same way, man. Just the soulful voice and all this, just the lyrics. I mean, that's what you reach onto, and yeah, holy cow. Yeah, that's
another big one for me is like Outcast to Clemini.
Oh yeah,
I think I was probably one of the only people in my friend group who loved that album. I just bumped it constantly when it came out. People were kind of sleeping on it on the East Coast and the West Coast, I think, at the time. I mean, not really. People knew about it, but it was just, for me, it was a big record. It had a lot of, I don't know, a lot of feelings behind it, and a lot of it said so much. For a lot of times hip hop records didn't speak to me that much, even though like KRS-One was like my favorite rapper growing up.
Oh man.
But Outkast Equipment as an album, as a hip hop record, that was another big one. When I discovered Freestyle Fellowship's Inner City Griots, that was another just like brain blowing experience for me.
Their whole crew around that time too with Freestyle Fellowship was just amazing. Like each one of the guys on their own right is like pushed that just like musical forum like so far advanced from anything that it ever was.
Yeah,
Like
the shit Micah 9 was doing and AC Alone were doing in like the late 80s was just so beyond even what MCs are doing now, so it's like they pushed the art form, to its full extent.
Definitely a fucking huge one.
All Balls Don't Bounce is one of my favorite hip hop records of all time by AC Alone. Another one that we keep going. When I heard Bad Brains for the first time, when I heard the first Bad Brains album tape, that I was like, "What is this?" Because it was, it sounded so raw. I remember it was a math teacher of mine that was like thought I would like it and showed me the tape when I was a freshman.
That's Berkeley for sure.
He eventually brought me to a Bad Brains show at Irving Plaza with Cro-Mags.
Oh God, that's amazing.
He brought me to that, and it was incredible. I mean, those sometimes you need like a OG or mentors to show you cool stuff. There's so many records, there's so many genres I could go down. But yeah, those are big ones.
All day.
I'm actually going down a rabbit hole myself.
I'm
thinking about all the old classic hip hop albums I grew up on, like Leaders of the New School and like
Funk Dubious was a shit back.
Oh yeah, man, Bow Wow Wow and all that shit. Oh my God. The Far Side. I used to love the Far Side, man.
Yeah, man. They're
Far Side.
Yeah, man.
You can't forget Hieroglyphics, Dell and Souls of Mischief and
Group Home.
You can't forget man, I love like Poor Righteous Teachers and all. There's just some De La Soul.
Rock This Funky. Oh yeah, holy shit, man. They were
fucking Buku One.
Shout out Buku One, man. Shout out Buku One. That's KMD, like real underground Bay Area.
You remember KMD?
And Living Legends. Oh yeah, of course. MF Doom, KMD. Yeah.
Kirby Dom.
Yeah, we're heads. We're officially heads. I was a huge Boot Camp Click fan too. So Smith and Wesson, Help with Skelta, Black Moon, OGC.
Yeah. You're a Capone and Noriega guy for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that
shout out. That'd be fun. That'd be fun to meet Nori one day.
I love the hip hop element of this album too, and all the blends of different styles. That actually leads me to how did Fat Mike come into fruition, and how was this band formed?
It was my band Get Dead has been on Fat Records for about 8 years, so I've known Fat Mike for a long time, and he put out with a curse. And I started listening to Ceschi, and I just fucked with Ceschi during my whole divorce and like all this shit. And then somebody reached out to Ceschi and said, "Hey, this guy from Get Dead's shouting you out. You should check it out." And he did, and he fucking liked my shit too. He sent me a message like, "Hey man, appreciate you fucking the support." And I'm like, "Yeah." We ended up knowing all these same people. And me and Ceschi just started writing music. And just basically moved in with each other. And then once we were done with it, we took all the demos to Mike, and he liked what he hear. He liked it. So then we went back in the studio and did some production stuff, and then boom, overnight, 2 years later.
Nice, man. Yeah. There's so many different styles on this album, and it's kind of it's unique in the fact that it almost creates a new genre. And I thought that to blend so many styles, did that organically happen when you guys were writing that? Or is that something that was planned from the beginning?
No, it was organic. Yeah, for sure.
That's how me and Ceschi approach making music, is that we're not going in with a pre-notion of like we have to do a fucking crime wave style or it's always just me and him basically just goofing around or having an idea, like making a joke. Like Fast Ones was like a comical joke to us. And we were at my house in Campbell, and we were just like screwing around on this little keyboard I had my grandma gave me. And we're like, damn, it's super funny to do like the auto tune over this little bass line.
It was catchy. We thought it'd be funny to make like a hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then fucking
So-
we remember we were at fucking the studio when we got to LA, and they didn't have a vocoder or a
yeah, did like super auto tuned. Like the first version was like hyper auto tuned, like on purpose.
yeah, and we bought it on like we were like, oh, we should just get one online here on the studio computer. And we're like, oh, there's one right there, and it was like it was like we're just like we clicked it and it automatically bought it. We're all, oh shit. I guess
Yeah.
but it came out great. And then, you know, from that joke, you know, it's just like that's how some of the best stuff comes out, is just like not taking it too seriously, letting it organically.
Yeah, it was a super liberating project too, because it was brand new to us. So there were no expectations or were no rules. And we were coming out of pandemic, and we were just kind of like super creative at that time. And we made probably 20 other ideas that never really saw the light of day also, that were different genres. So that's where Mike came in a lot, with like choosing what would be on the album. And there are songs where he would come back and kind of like rewrite chord structures, and some of the music he wrote, the like Defcons, he wrote the entire all the music for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, Mike came in at a demo at a time when we had some demos. Mike came in and kind of helped us carve out what became the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was very open ended.
How did the DOC come into play? How did that happen?
Well, that was also Mike.
Gary O.
Yes, Gary O. I guess Sam, you could tell the story because you were actually there. So when it first happened.
Yeah, Gary O is Mike's one of Mike's business managers, and he lives in LA, and he represents a lot of really cool people like DJ Quick.
Oh no.
And represent DOC. DOC was looking for a location to film his interviews for some of his stuff for the documentary that he came out with on his life. And Mike had a beautiful house in Sherman Oaks, backyard pool, palm trees, the whole nine. So it was the perfect place to do it. So Gary introduced him, and they came over, and Fat Mike and DOC just like hit it off. They're just like fast friends.
Nice.
There's two separate worlds. And I had been there with like my NPC, and Mike invited me over. Like, oh, you got to meet this guy. And we met DOC, and then we had that Fast Ones track that we're fucking around with. Played it when he was there, and he was like, "That's that shit right there." We just let him go for it. And then next thing I know, me and Fat Mike and Ceschi are in Texas at some studio, and he's laying down a verse. And since then, we've just all been friends. And he's coming in, and he's gonna do another couple songs with us. And he's like super back making music, and you know, he's got the same mind frame as we do as far as like our subject matter and how to make a song with like meaning behind it. And so we work really well with him. He's been super cool with us. He's showed up at a small club show in the middle of, you know, it was cool. We played with him in Texas, and he got on stage, and we were doing sound check, and he told a story about how the first time he tried to play a show was right across the street from where we were playing.
Oh, wow.
And they let him play it for the first time or something. And he's like, it's just a trip that I'm sitting here across the street, like back, you know.
Everything came full circle.
Yeah, man. So it's pretty cool to see that kind of stuff.
The songs on the album are clearly and deeply personal, but they still come off as hopeful. Can you kind of walk me through some of the tracks and tell me where the ideas came from?
Which one would you like to talk about?
Well, actually, I mean, I have questions about the disaster scenes. That's like a really personal and deep song, and it really connects to me on like a, you know, like a personal level. When like there's so much pain in it, but it's it's hopeful in an odd way. Like where did that come from?
Oh, that's like I went on this awful date with somebody who was a stand-up comedian, and it was right after I went to a funeral, and I was speaking about like this memorial service and getting to know this person, and the next day or something she wrote, she was like, "You trauma dumped all over me" and stuff, and I had never heard that term. And it was almost like a freestyle, like a free write when I first wrote that verse. Like the last person I dated, it was like days after I went on that date, and I just it sort of led to thinking about trauma in general and how it's built me into the person I am, and how it's something I hold and accept and also can grow from. And I think that's where the topic of the song came from. I know it led to different Sam and Stacy, gave their own takes on that. So
Yeah, it's such a powerful song. How about Suicide by Pigs? I gotta say the best. In fact, this is my favorite line in the whole album. Nothing sucks out the joy in life quite like truth. Like that hits so fucking hard and home to me. It's like, where did that come from? Because like I gotta know.
we wrote that song completely together. Like it's the most collaborative song I've ever written with somebody. Like Sam started the first four guitar chords, and I wrote a line that was, "I've considered suicide by police. I try it myself, but I'm far too lazy." Sam didn't. Sam was like, "I don't want to say I'm lazy. I'm far too angry to consider that." And so that's how we were writing it, like bar for bar. I mean, we had specific scenarios in mind about real life friends of ours who had taken their lives, and it's a song about a revenge suicide, sort of like, you know, fuck y'all. I'm taking myself out as a fuck you, and it's based on real life events. I don't know what Sam wants to talk about or not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is to me, even like writing that song, like we played it so many times, and it's just like such a crazy vibe when we play it on stage with people that like have connected to the song, that it's taken on like a whole different meaning each
Totally.
time. It just because you just see like different people like connecting to it in different ways, and it's cool, man. It's not like by design, and it's really rad to see something organically come together like that can actually like, you know, to be a musician and like to even hear somebody like come up to you and tell you that like a song that you wrote had some kind of impact on them is fucking rare. Like some people do this shit for a long time and never hear that. So try not to take that for granted. And the more we see how people are listening to these songs, the more I'm just kind of like, I kind of want to keep my take of what I thought to myself,
Yeah,
and
I feel that.
let people kind of like, make have it make a life of its own with them.
Hmm. Everybody
Kind
has
of
their own interpretation.
like open sourcing emotions.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I remember us on being at Fat Mike's, and that was a song that started. It started in San Jose. We started writing it out at Sam's, and I remember being at Fat Mike's outside of his studio working on it, and he was like, "I'm recording no effects songs in here. Go to the fucking tennis court and work on it there." And I remember, and then he chimed in. He's like, "How about this line?" Like we
Yeah,
were writing that line about like when you go to funerals and never had a smile that lit up every room. You know how you go to a funeral and you hear like a eulogy, oh, his smile lit up every room. We
yeah.
Mike chimed in about a line there, and it was a cool time. It was just a very free time. We didn't
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
we were
also
just writing every day.
there's I mean, Ceschi both like wrote songs line for line with somebody. Like it's always been like, I look at being an MC or like hip hop is like it's almost like being a skateboarder because it's like a very individual sport. It's like it's your you're not really, besides if you don't make your own beats or whatever, you're not relying on anybody. But then when you're in a band, it's like it's a whole nother thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool that with the writer, because I'm just one singer in the band. The boys help write stuff, but like not, I write the majority of it. So it's like cool to be able to be with somebody that you respect. That's a fucking phenomenal writer, to just go like line for line, and then we can critique each other's shit back and forth, and it's like makes it even better. And it's not something where you like change something as a compromise. You're changing it as like an actual like growing moment in fucking, the process of songwriting.
Yeah, it's a rare thing to like write for instance, a poet doesn't normally write a poem with somebody else bar for
Yeah.
bar. That's like it's kind of the way we're approaching it though, So with some of the songs, not every song, but yeah.
Well, I actually have a classic hip hop question for you. The beginning of Prison Camp, was that influenced by Public Enemy at all? Like I got a letter from the government the other day, opened and read it.
I was wondering that about Sam's verse.
Yeah.
And that's what I always think about that when I hear that song, and I'm like, I have to add you.
It's also a hardcore song that I forget. I'm blanking the name right now, but they start out this song just like that. But in my mind, what I thought, I was like, oh, I can flip that, is from the Far Side, because the Far Side. But I got a letter from the DMV.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that was like my nod to like the Far Side stuff on that. So
yeah, and like a very low key thing about that song that very few people have noticed, except for people in my family have noticed. There's a reference to Ruben Blades, who's like a salsa singer from Panama. That's all I'll say about that.
find it.
Well, I tell you what, I don't want to keep you guys all night, but I have a couple other non-music related questions if you're game. So,
okay.
All right. What's the best piece of advice anyone's ever given you?
You got that, Sam?
Don't try. That's it. Just don't try. No, just be, to me, I took that away as just like, don't try to be anything that you're not. Don't, like, the more you reach for something, the further away it gets. And it's like things come around when you just relax and just fucking be. So
yeah, along those lines, I'll say like always keep your expectations low. Like don't expect too much from anybody or any situation, and oftentimes it leads to something better than you expect. Not always, but yeah.
And if you don't have any expectations, you can never be let down. So
exactly, that's why it's really good advice to me. People who come out the gate thinking, I'm gonna blow up or this or that. It's like, you very well may be let down.
Yeah. or you might well fucking blow the fuck up overnight and become some fucking internet sensation that's fucked off in fucking a year and a half, broke, strung out, and
right. And that don't make your life better either.
Now you're an island boy.
right.
Have you guys been following that? Because that's wild stuff, bro.
You mean with the extra brother, and then he dropped out, and then all that crazy shit?
No, but they're like on YouTube, just clout chasing like a motherfucker. They're like making out with each other, full blown. Like,
isn't that their whole thing?
Okay, I must have missed that one. Jeez.
YouTube sensation.
The thing that makes me sad about that is like, I try to do this show and turn people on the shit that I'm passionate about, that I really love and I connect with. And, it goes out to the right people. That's great. But like, and that's kind of the whole reason I want to do it. But like, you make out with your brother and you get 6 million views.
Well, but then again, it's like you're not getting views because you're contributing to anything. You're not views because
no one's connecting with that. It's just, they're just staring at an accident,
Yeah,
right, it's kind of like watching a train wreck. You don't want to watch, but you can't look away either.
It's just like disaster porn.
Just like I listened to the Melly Mel Eminem diss song today.
Yeah.
Dang, that was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I was like,
pretty pathetic.
OG,
He's not
put
even
it
gonna bother.
down.
He's not even gonna bother with a retort to that.
Put it down, OG.
He might. There might be like a sub bar and some B side.
Let me ask you, what's something that
He's like,
you
young
guys,
man, you're a cockroach coming out of your knapsack. Talking to like a 50-year-old man.
what's
funny.
something you guys enjoy doing that might surprise your fans?
Oh, I love stone skipping. I really love skipping stones on bodies of water. For real.
I'm really bad at it. I would like to do it if I
I'm
could.
really good at it.
I'm gonna.
I don't think I ever said that in an interview before.
Well, I'm glad we broke that for you, Ceschi. I don't ask normal shit, man. It's like, what about you?
I like making things like just build, like figuring out how to build shit. Like right now, I'm building suitcases and car amps.
That's a
and then like painting them. So I got a thing in with punk rock and paintbrushes in the fall. I think in Orange County for the Punk in the Park show.
Wow,
I'm gonna have like 4 or 5 pieces in that. So
wow, that's dope, man.
Sick.
Jeez. I'll tell you what. I only have a couple more minutes left with you guys, but my show is primarily about things I'm passionate about, bands like you guys, and horror. Are you guys horror fans at all? And what's your favorite horror film, if so?
The Thing, the original.
Mine's Pet Cemetery.
Both really solid choices, guys. Oh,
I'm a big.
But I also like the Italian. I also like the Argento
Italian
movies,
horror, dude.
and especially the
Blind
soundtracks. And as a hip hop producer, Goblin, who did all the music for
I love-
Dario Argento,
I love
was
Argento.
like a gold mine of samples. So shout
They're
out
actually
Goblin.
touring now and doing the soundtrack to Demons Everywhere. That's gonna be amazing.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, like this. I have like the Suspiria record
Oh,
from like back. Yeah, like the.
I love the
soundtrack from
Tenebrae
back then.
soundtrack. I love all that. Argento.
Yeah, I mean it's
Bava.
so yeah. Those are my answers, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for me, like my childhood like horror movie was Pet Cemetery.
Great choices, guys. Oh, well, I tell you what. Before we go here, I actually just wanted to ask you guys, what is in the future for the Codefendants, and where can we find you on the information superhighways? Everybody can check you out.
Get him, Ceschi.
We are Codefendants Legal Fund on Instagram, and that's the one that we actually check and update most. And we have a link tree on there. It has all the tickets to our upcoming shows. We got shows on the East Coast coming up. Sam and I have been doing a lot of these. We started doing these shows as a duo. So we'll be doing kind of more broken down shows as well as big band shows. We're doing shows with Get Dead backing us up in San Francisco, Punk and Drublick, and then with Frank Turner in Anaheim in September. And SETA will be backing us up in Hamden, New Haven, Connecticut, September 3rd as well. So yeah, we have a bunch of shows in September.
Boston, Philly. We're linking up with a cellist in Boston.
Yeah, Brooklyn, and and Connecticut, and then
I was at the side stage in Columbus, and you guys totally were the highlight of the fucking show, man. It was awesome. I got great footage of most of your set too. It's on my channel. So
that was a really fun show.
Oh,
I like that venue too. It was cool.
Actually, let me just leave you with one last thing though. It's something I don't know if you guys see, but I had a funny moment. I think you probably missed it, Sam. You came over to the side stage, and there was all these girls, and they're like, "Sam, come over here and give me a kiss," and blah blah blah. And I don't know if you remember, but you actually, instead of running over to them, you came over, you planted a big smackaroo on my cheek, and then I got somebody took a picture of it and sent me, and they were all so bummed out, man. Everybody's laughing. I'm fucking dying. And they're like, "Yeah, you're all fucking jealous now, aren't you?" And they were all like, "Yeah." It was so, oh my God, it was hysterical.
Bootleg kisses.
That was so fucking funny, man.
Keep them guessing.
All the girls were like, "Oh yeah," they're all jealous. I got a smackaroo from you. So, what a fucking great show, though, man. I have to say. But guys, thank you so much for being on my show. I thank you for your time, And
Thank you, man.
I can't wait to see what you guys in the future because I fucking love you. And I encourage everybody, if you don't go out and get this fucking album, you're doing yourself the biggest fucking disservice in the world. So grab the fucking album, go see it when they come to your town. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Peace and love.
Thanks,
Peace and
bud.
love.
So much for having us. We appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
All right.